Okay. Good afternoon once again. I'm again by the lens of Teacher Winnie. I'm going to be taking you through C.R.E, Christian Religious Education, and that is for Primary 6. Primary 6, I hope you're listening. And all the viewers, all the other listeners, thank you very much for your attention, for your time. So today we want to talk about what we call suffering. Today we are going to talk about what we call suffering. Suffering. I know this one is really not new. Everyone knows about it. Because right now, everyone is going through it. Someone says, we are really suffering. The teacher is making us suffer. Mom is making us suffer. Dad is making us suffer. The world we are suffering in this world and many other things. They're talking about what you call suffering. First of all, we need to understand, before you start saying you're suffering, what does that suffering mean? Before you start saying you're suffering, what does that suffering mean? Suffering is the experiencing of pain. The experiencing of pain, experiencing of sorrow, and experiencing of discomfort. Suffering is the experiencing of pain, sorrow, and discomfort. Have you ever felt pain in your body? Have you ever felt pain in your heart? That is what you call suffering. Have you ever been sorrowful? Have you ever been sad? Have you ever lost something, lost someone, lost something valuable to you, an item, a gift, anything, your belonging, and then you feel so bad? That is what you call suffering. The way that you feel, you're suffering inside. And then discomfort. You always feel like, I'm really tired. I'm really so tired. You look at your body and say, no, this body does not even belong to me. You feel so irritated. You feel so irritated. Even when someone comes and then sits next to you, you feel like you're not comfortable. For example, your clothes are dirty, you feel like your clothes are dirty. You say, no, these clothes, no, they're making me uncomfortable. You're suffering. Someone gives you a clothes that you don't even want to put on. You say, oh my God, what is this? You walk and then you say, this one doesn't belong to me. Why? Because you're not comfortable in it. So that is all what you call suffering. So suffering is the experiencing of pain, sorrow, and discomfort. Say suffering is the experiencing of pain, sorrow, and discomfort. Now, you ask yourself, but why are we suffering? You ask yourself, but why are we suffering? Suffering did not come just from nowhere. Suffering did not just come from nowhere. There is an origin of suffering. There is that thing that causes suffering, why people are suffering in this world. When you look at the book of Genesis chapter 3 verse 1, Genesis chapter 3 verse 1, it talks about the fall of man. It talks about the fall of what? Man. How man suffers because of what he did. How man was given the punishment because of the things that he did. The one who is the man that you're talking about, the man you're talking about is Adam. Through the disobedience of Adam, that he did not obey what God had told him to do. He told him that, please, Adam, I'm putting you in this garden. They were put in the garden, and that garden was called the Garden of Eden. So when God created man, that is Adam and Eve, he put them in a nice place. That place looks like paradise. Put them in a nice place and told them, please, this is the place I'm giving you to stay. Whatever you need in life, it's all here. Food, everything is right here. And whatever you look at, all belongs to you. The plants, the animals, everything belongs to you. The plants, you're going to pick them as food. You're going to pick the fruits and eat them. But there is only one fruit that I don't want you to touch. And that's fruit is found in the middle of the Garden of Eden. In the middle of the Garden of what? Eden. That fruit is on a forbidden tree. And that forbidden tree bears a forbidden fruit. And that fruit, nobody knows how it looks like up to date. But everyone is asking, but how is that forbidden fruit? How does it really look like? How does it really taste? Nobody knows. So, when Adam was put in the Garden of Eden, he was given a warning not to touch that fruit, even go near it. He was told that if anyone goes near it or touches it or even eats it, that person will die the same day. That person will die the same day. And what happened? Just because of the weaknesses that we have, we feel like, no, what we have is not enough. We are always we are always yearning for more and more and more. We are never satisfied with the little that we have. Though we were not given little, that we were a lot. Because God said, whatever belongs here belongs to you, except only the forbidden fruit. But then, because of the greed that we have, we are never satisfied with the little that we have. It all led to the fall of man. And due to the fall of man, man was given a punishment, and those punishments are following us up to today. Up to today. So now all those things are the ones that are leading to suffering, or the suffering of man. So you're saying suffering is the experiencing of pain, sorrow, and discomfort. Suffering is the experiencing of pain, sorrow, and discomfort. Let us look at the types of suffering. Types of suffering. What are the types of suffering? There are 6. There are how many? 6 types of suffering. We have what we call the emotional suffering. We have what we call the emotional suffering. We have what we call the economic suffering. We have what we call the physical suffering. We have what we call the spiritual suffering. Spiritual suffering. We have what we call the mental suffering. And lastly, but not least, we have what we call the emotional, economic, physical, spiritual, mental, and then the social suffering. Those are the 6 types of suffering. We have emotional suffering, economic suffering, physical suffering, spiritual suffering, mental suffering, social suffering. Those are the 6. And what are those suffering? What do we mean by them? What do they mean? When you talk about emotional, when you talk about economic, when you talk about physical, when you talk about spiritual, mental, social, what do they mean? And how are the types of suffering? How are the types of what? Suffering. Let us give you the first one called the emotional suffering. Emotional suffering. Emotional suffering. What is emotional suffering? What is emotional suffering? Emotional suffering is the suffering. Emotional suffering is the suffering that arises from one's mind. Emotional suffering is the suffering that arises from one's what? Mind. Arises from one's mind. The person thinks about it and it's really hard seeing. For example, you say something to me, oh my God, to run through my brain, and then you feel like, wow, my heart is really bleeding. You see, I look at this one, she has a bald head. But someone will ask me, do I really have a bald head? I look at this one, she's walking like a cock. Do I really walk like a cock? So it will torment that person. To enter through that person's mind, that person will keep on thinking, really, am I a cock? Do I really walk like a cock? You're making that person suffer emotionally. You're hurting his or her feelings. And that feeling, it first goes through the mind. Once it affects the mind, the heart also, the feelings are going to be hurt. That is called emotional suffering. So emotional suffering is the type of suffering that rises from one's mind. So this is the suffering that rises from one's mind. It first enters the mind and it will hurt the feelings. That person will say, no, my feelings are being hurt because of the things that they say, the things that they did to me and many others. So what are the causes? What makes people suffer emotionally? Causes of suffering. Causes of emotional suffering. Causes of emotional suffering. What makes someone suffers emotionally? What makes someone's feelings to be hurt? What makes someone's feeling to be hurt? What makes someone feels like he or she has really been hurt? So one are the misunderstandings. Misunderstandings. What are misunderstandings? Those are the things, the acts that can hurt someone. The acts that can that hurt someone. For you may have not done it directly. You may have done it indirectly or directly because maybe you want to revenge and many others. So misunderstandings can cause emotional suffering, like misunderstandings, for example, quarreling and many other things. All those things are misunderstandings. All those things lead to misunderstandings. Quarreling, stealing my property, all those things lead to misunderstandings. You're causing me to suffer emotionally. You're making me to feel bad. You're making me to feel bad. Then another one, we have loss of property. Loss of the property, even loss of a loved one. Have you ever lost something that you love so much? Maybe you lost your clothes, you can't see your clothes anymore. Maybe you're going for a party, but there's that particular clothes, that particular dress that you want to put on, but you can't find it. You really feel so bad. Someone gets your clothes and then burns it. Oh my God. How do you feel? If you really feel bad. Loss of a loved one. You wake up one day and they announce you, please. Your aunt has passed away, your uncle has passed away, this and this has happened, and many others. You no longer have a friend. Maybe even your friend can come and tell you, please, I don't like you anymore. Please, I am no longer your friend. From today, don't talk to me. Don't come and see me, and many others. Those ones are all lost of loved ones. They cause what's called emotional suffering. They hurt our feelings. Then we have another one like failure. Failure, for example, failure is not only in class, by the way, because maybe some people may say, for me I'm always getting 20, what's like that. Failure is round. Failure is round. How can it be round? You can maybe try to do something and you go today. Maybe you want to skip up a rope, but you can't skip because you've never practiced. Maybe you want to run, for you, a very fast runner, you know that really I'm going to be the faster and I win. Then you fail. Someone ends up passing you. You say, oh my God, this is really bad. So failure is also a cause of emotional suffering. Mental torture. Mental torture. Mental torture. Someone comes and makes a business, a very big word that you've never even heard before. Some words are even so difficult, very hard to come out of someone's mouth, but some people find it so easy for them to just speak it out as if It is something normal for them. Someone just say, hey, look at this one here, blah, 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 and many other things. So you're hurting someone's feeling. That person, you're really taking him as if he's someone who is useless. The way you take him, the way you treat him, it also touches him mentally. So it may end up hurting that person's feelings. Then we have also fear. We also have fear. Fear is also an emotional suffering. Maybe you're telling someone a scary story, and then that person ends up thinking about it every time. Every time it's reoccurring into his mind and many other things. Every time, sometimes children, also especially children, they end up dreaming about them. So it ends up hurting them. And then others also like difficulties. You're finding challenges, for example, challenges in doing a certain task, you can't do it. They're given you to do something but you can't do it, and then someone just says, please, that is too little for you to do it, please can you stand up and do it, do this and do that. You're hurting my feelings. Even when I try, I want to do it myself, but really I feel like I can't do it. I want to do it, my heart is pushing me to do it because I want to, but I can't. And the moment I fail to do it, that one is also bad. I may end up being hurt. Not someone that has hurt me, but I've hurt myself because I can't do something. Even difficulties like, for example, failure to get money and many other things, they cause also what you call emotional suffering. So those are some of the causes of emotional suffering. Even worries. Worries can also cause emotional suffering. You're worried about what is going to happen tomorrow, what about this, what will we eat tomorrow, how are my children going to learn if I don't get money to pay for their school fees and many other things. What if now this person is sick, what if he or she dies, and many other things. So you're worried about something, it also causes what you call emotional suffering. So these are the causes of emotional suffering, misunderstandings. The causes of misunderstanding, I say we have stealing, quarreling, backbiting, murmuring, all those are the misunderstandings. It has someone steal feelings. Loss of a property, loss of a loved one, failure, mental torture, fear, difficulties, worries, and many others. Now, all these causes of emotional suffering can lead to something bad. They have effects. Effects of emotional suffering. All this emotional suffering, they have effects. Effects or outcomes. Outcomes of emotional suffering. Effects of the outcomes of emotional suffering. When someone is suffering emotionally, what may end up happening or what will happen? One, someone may end up feeling angry. Anger is due to mental torture. Maybe you've abused that person and then you become very angry. You've had a misunderstanding, you've stolen that person's property. The person is going to be angry and feel like doing something very bad to you. You've backbited that person, you've spread rumors, and many other things. All those ones are going to lead to anger. And then another one also stress. Emotional suffering can lead to stress. Every time that person is overthinking and thinking, really, what am I supposed to do? Is thinking only about one thing. Now this is happening. How am I going to handle this? All those things can lead to stress. And then they have also sadness. Emotional suffering can lead to sadness. Loss of a property, loss of a friend, loss of a loved one. You've lost those things. You're going to feel very bad. You're going to feel very bad that you can't even smile. Even if someone tries to make you smile, when you say, no, for me, no. I'm tired of this life. So another one is gloom. Another is a gloom. You find that someone is putting on a gloomy face all the time. Why? Because his feelings has been hurt. You've said something hurtful to him, you've done something very hurtful to him, and many other things. So it will lead to gloom. That person will put on a gloomy face all the time, you never see a smile on that person. And then trauma. It will lead to trauma. Emotional suffering can also lead to trauma. Because of the word that you say, you're walking like a cock. That person will always keep on thinking, am I really a cock? Or do I really walk like a cock? Am I a donkey? And many other things. So it will lead to trauma that person will not be able even to accept himself. Why? Because of the words that have been said to him or her. And many others. After that also irritation. Irritation. That person will become irritated because of all those things. That person will become irritated. Even a disease can make us feel emotionally hurt. For example, if someone is having a measles, skin rash, that person will look at his body and say, no, this is really very bad for me. No, this body doesn't belong to me. Even sitting next to someone who is having that thing, the skin rash and many other things, you feel like, no, this is very bad. So it will lead to irritation because you feel like you're not comfortable at all. You feel discomfort because of what is going on around you, what is happening. So these are some of the effects of emotional suffering: anger, stress, sadness, gloom, trauma, irritation, and many other effects or outcomes. Thank you very much. We shall meet again. We shall continue with suffering next time. Thank you for listening. See you.